introduction of the Knitty Cats podcast. It's the introduction because our first episode has to include my sister because together we are the Knitty Cats. We wanted to do a podcast. I wanted to do a podcast. Full disclosure, she does not want to do this. So I thought maybe an introduction would also coax her into doing it. As you know, if you have a sister, there's one that's a trickster and one that's not so into that. I thought it'd be fun to do a podcast because I think my sister's an amazing knitter. And we do really fun things together knitting. We travel to knitting shows. We go to different cities to see yarn shops that we have always wanted to see. There isn't a town that we go to that we don't actually visit a yarn shop. So I just thought it'd be fun for us to share our shenanigans. She's not so excited about it. So this is the introduction. It's also the introduction because I am camping. We live in Colorado. We're Colorado natives, and we camp a lot. I camp a lot. And again, I'm trying to get my sister to camp with me. Why I think that all these things are going to happen because I put it in a podcast, I don't know. I don't know that it will. But it is my hope. I love to camp. I love to be outside. We grew up camping. She hated it then too. But it was different camping. I don't know why. We were young. Our parents made us go. We did have a vintage a camper, which wasn't vintage then. It is vintage now. So I am the proud owner of our family 1973 Shasta camper. It's amazing. I will at some point include videos of that too because it's pretty spectacular. It's not big and it's not fancy. It's just cool. My husband calls it the time capsule because it is, well, you'll just have to see it because it's pretty cool. We came camping this weekend because my husband is an adventure racer and he normally is one of the teams racing, but he's injured. So he's a volunteer. Of course, I wanted to come along. It's a long weekend and it's Sunday. And what happens at Sunday in a campground? It empties out. So it's amazing. So I thought, wow, I'm going to play with the camera. I wanted to learn how to use it. And I'll do an introduction to the Knitty Cats podcast. So here I am. I figured out the camera. I have been camping, so no judging. I am camping. It might be a little more glamorous later in our episode 1, which will probably be inside. But I thought I'd give you a little glimpse of this beautiful scenery in Colorado. We're at a campground called Wellington Lake. It's 8,500 feet above sea level, which seems like a lot, and it is a lot unless you live in Colorado, because we live at 7,000 feet above sea level, which it's still a lot. It's still beautiful. The air is thin. I can't describe Colorado air to you. It's the crispiest, thinnest, cleanest. It's hard to describe. I did take some video of some walks I did the first couple days that we were here, and they're pretty spectacular. It's just a spectacular place. This morning I climbed up to one of the base of one of the mountains. It's called Castle Rock, and it's this big rock formation jutting out into the sky. I don't know how big it is. And I almost got to the base, but I did turn around. It got a little bit crazy as far as difficulty. And thank goodness I did. One of the volunteers was scrambling down, and I said, was it very much longer to the top? And he said no, but it's a good thing you turned around. It does get pretty hairy further up, and one of the racers, because it was one of the it was on the race course they had to go on, had broken his leg. So I was glad I did. My hiking sticks are one of the many, many things I forgot on this camping trip. So I'm glad I turned around, and I'm alive, and I have no broken bones. So I'm making a podcast. One of the funny things I forgot is we love to watch the Knitty Mcpurly podcast, and she had a knitting retreat that we went to in January, and Dora Johnson was one of the people that helped her, and I got this beautiful bag from Dora's friend. And Dora, I just want you to tell your friend how grateful I am for this. Not only does it hold yarn, but I forgot a backpack or a day pack or any kind of a pack, and I thought, how am I going to go hiking around without that, because you have to have water and some food. Well, I looked around, thought what I could bring, and I made this into a backpack. So I just pulled the strings, and then it was like, it was not comfortable, but I was so grateful to have it. So tell your friend thank you. Again, one of the many things I forgot. I don't know how many backpacks I have as a family because we're all outdoorsy. We must have 20 backpacks and fanny packs, and for every skill and length of time being gone, I didn't have a single one. So anyway, I was grateful for that. I used it each day. And thank you, friend, for me. Well, I'll tell you what I'm knitting. My goal this time was to take all of the things that I hadn't finished. And if you knew my personality, I'm a finisher. I don't like unfinished things. But I tend to stop knitting things when I'm frustrated, or I've made a mistake and I don't want to undo it. I'm very frustrated. So I put it aside and start something else. Well, I had a couple that I had to think about. One of them was this, it's called the Elmgrove sweater. And I got this yarn from Harrisville Designs, I think that's the name of it, when we went to Rhinebeck in the fall. My sister and I got to go to Rhinebeck last fall. And I got this yarn, which I love. I love the color. It's very spring. I started it in like February and thought this is going to be a great spring sweater because it's still pretty cold here in the spring. But I loved the color. I'll insert a picture too. I took a picture on the log over there by our campsite. And it was wool, and I thought this will be great. Well, of course I got going along and tried it on, and it's too big. And I thought, oh my gosh, so this is how far I got. And it's too big, and I have to wrestle with myself. Do I want to undo it and make the smaller size, or just keep going? Well, I thought to myself, why don't you finish it? Because everything's big. The arms are big. It's just big. Why don't you finish it, make it longer, make the arms longer, and kind of semi-felt it a little bit or shrink it. I did that successfully with the sweater that my sister gave me. In fact, it's my favorite camping sweater. It was an Eddie Bauer sweater, 100% wool, and I had a couple little holes in it. I sewed up the holes, and then I washed it and felted it. And it's my favorite sweater camping because it is so warm. So I thought, maybe I'll do that with this sweater. So I'm going to try. It's going to be the sacrificial sweater. I've never done it before with anything I've knitted. Again, it's called the Elmgrove sweater, and it's a Barocco pattern. It's the second Barocco pattern I've made, and the other one was big too. So I need to make the smallest size the next time I make a Barocco pattern. End of story. I'm going to do that. So, but I think it's cute. I love the color. So that I will finish, hopefully. I don't know because I forgot the rest of the yarn, but I think I have enough to do the sleeves because I have a full ball and I'm about there. So if not, it'll be almost done. Can't believe I did that. This is the most unorganized camping trip I've ever had. I had a long week at work and I hadn't started really packing to come camping. Even though our camper is pretty self-contained, everything's in there, we leave everything in there. My husband hadn't prepared the food, which he doesn't have to, but he hadn't started on the food, and I hadn't packed any of my clothes or anything. And so literally the morning we're leaving, I'm putting all that together. So my knitting suffered. But we're here, and it's glorious, and there is no one here in the campsite. It's amazing. The next thing I'm working on is, let's see, this is the Anker sweater by Petite Knits. I'm sitting on everything on my camp chair. And I made the Anker cardigan, and they loved it. I had this yarn from Pearl Soho, which it's rayon, which is not fun to work with. But the drape is amazing. So I'm hoping, because it seems a little bit big up here on the knit purl. I love the color, but I really it has short sleeves, and I just have to put the ribbing on that too. So hopefully that'll get done as well. But it feels amazing, an amazing drape, and the petite cardigan, or the Petite Knits Anker cardigan. I have that. And I have, this is a blanket that I'm making. I started this the very last camping trip that we did last summer. And it's just a crocheted Afghan. I buy I love the Attic 24 kits that I get at Wool Warehouse. My sister and I have crocheted those for years. They're amazing. And we love those. And so I thought I would make a Afghan, or just a small blanket, or throw really, it's not an Afghan, for our camper, because these are the colors of the camper. I made new curtains for the camper, oh gosh, 5 years ago. And they're beautiful. They turned out really cool with some retro fabric, very 70s. And this is all the colors in the curtains. So I've done some more on that. And my goal, I have to get that done. My intention was to finish it over the winter, because I like to crochet Afghans in the winter. But I didn't even pick it up. I don't think I picked it up once. So anyway, I'm back at it, and I will work on it every camping trip that we have this summer, and hopefully get that done. The other thing I have is the Corran Cardigan, and I will have to get it because I forgot it. It's sitting over there at the campsite. And I'm so frustrated with it. I love Rebecca of Creabea Knits. I think she's amazing. I love her podcasts, mainly because I love Scotland. I went to college there, and I love her accent. I love the Scottish accent. It's one of my favorite places in the world is Scotland, and so it kind of brings me back there every time I see her and listen to her podcast. And I've never done a pieced cardigan, a pieced anything, bottom up pieced, and it's this lace pattern, and I've just messed up so many times. I'll tell you how I messed up, but it's funny. As I messed up on this, oh my gosh, this was hilarious. This petite knits, I left off a whole section at the top, which it was fortuitous because I was very worried that it was going to be tight here, which I don't like, because it's a summer top. And I don't know how I missed a whole section on the pattern, but I did. And I love it. I love the way it fits. So I will, once this is done, hopefully in episode 1, I will tell you a little bit more about that and what I did, because I think it's a keeper. So anyway, this cardigan, the Corran Cardigan, it's a laced eyelet open, and I thought I can do it. Everyone was talking about how easy it was, and it was a quick knit. Hasn't been so quick for me. Let me go get it. So I'm going to pause for 1 sec, and I will go get it, and I'll tell you everything I've done, because it's pretty funny. Okay, so let me get it out here. So the first thing I did is I did the bottom and about 4 inches in, and I held it around, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is just the back? This is huge. This is going to be huge. Put it aside, thought about it, rip it out, rip it out, rip it out. So I did, and I thought, how did I do that so wrong? I went back and thought, I did this right. Well, I looked at some projects on Ravelry, and so it's actually not pieced on the side. She does the whole base as one, and then you separate for the sleeves, and then you do the back and the side. So I wanted it so bad, I redid it. So it's actually turning out really cool. And then I'm doing the side because I want the V-neck. I have no idea how I messed up, but I can't rip it out anymore. I have to put it away until I get home because I'm so frustrated. I've messed up here, and I don't know what I did wrong because I did this part several times. So, but I think it's going to be super cool. Really cool in the summer. I do have to dress up for work, and I thought it would be really pretty over a black tank dress. It would be neat with a denim shirt underneath or a white t-shirt underneath. It is cotton, 100% cotton. So I think it's going to be great. And so I'm pursuing. I'm going to keep going. So I think that is all I brought. I don't know if I mentioned that I did bring all my hand mending as well. Just things that had been piling up on my sewing machine that needed hand stitching. So I brought all those. Those are done. it's going to feel good. Once I get all of these things done, I'm going to feel really good, because I do want to start a couple other summer tops. I finished my Fosette from Devon at Knitty Mcpurly. I love it, love it, love it. I did that in cotton too. So I think I'm set if I make one more summer top between my Petite Knits Anker and Fosette, and then I'm going to pick another one when I get home. This is why I want to get these things done. And my Corran Cardigan, I'm going to be set for some cute summer things, and I'm excited about that. So I think I'm going to conclude the introduction of the Knitty Cats podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't want to tell too much about ourselves because I really want my sister to be a part of the first episode. So I'm going to close with that and enjoy the rest of this beautiful Colorado day. It is just stunning here. It is truly spectacular. I do have to pinch myself that I live here, because I do think Colorado is absolute paradise. I went to school in Scotland, and then lived in London after I finished, and did some traveling through Europe, and I have traveled a fair amount in the United States. But I am sure there are places that are just as nice as Colorado, but I just haven't found them. It is so beautiful here. The people are friendly, and I'm so glad that we get to call it home, because I love being outside here. With that, I'm going to close. I'm going to put a few minutes of my walks here in Colorado, and I hope that you enjoyed them. Thank you for watching. If you want us to continue, go ahead and like and subscribe, and mention how much you'd like to meet my sister. We were actually on the 100th episode of the Knitty Mcpurly podcast. We love Knitty Mcpurly. She is the sweetest woman, and so for her 100th episode, we did send in a video, which I think started the whole thing, because people wrote in and said we should do our own podcast, and my sister is putting her foot down. So I got to get that foot up. So if you'd like to see more of the Knitty Cats, watch our episode, our little gig that we did on episode 100 of the Knitty Mcpurly podcast. I think we're about 32 minutes in or so. Anyway, have a great day. I hope the rest of your day is going to be as good as mine is. Thanks for watching.